Catherine. We heard that you have a new commission for us.
That's correct. There's a requester who has submitted a designated commission.
A designated commission? Sounds like it must be pretty important.
There's no need to worry. This commission is not dangerous by any means. Perhaps you have heard that
Yay! A festival! Oh, come to think of it...
The Yashiro Commission and Lady Yae are responsible for all the festival preparations.
You know Miko. She always has some unusual ideas in her head. We better go to Grand Narukami Shrine and see what she needs us to do.
Lady Yae is currently at Yae Publishing House in Hanamizaka, so there is no need to go all the way to the shrine. In fact, she is instructed...
Oh, well that's convenient enough. Let's go.
Tanya and Kuroda, how are things coming along?
All the books and commission prints for Yae Publishing House were bound and sent out yesterday afternoon, Lady Yae.
Very good. And Murata?
We have already received word from Apekusu and Sailing Breeze that the materials are all in place for Shogun Almighty reborn as Raiden with unlimited power, and pretty pleased.
Well done. And what about you, Onodera? Onodera?
Oh, yes, Lady Yae. Everything is ready for the new issue release party.
You are the one who organized the plans for this release party. In other words, you are the team's fearless leader. Besides, there's no need to be nervous. This project is destined for success. I feel quite optimistic about it. I shall specially grant you leave for the next couple of days, Onodera. Please take the opportunity to...
Yes, Lady Yae. Thank you very much.
All right then. Is everyone clear about their assignments? Good. We're running out of time, so let's get moving. Chop chop! Hello, little ones. I take it you have received my commission,
Some organizer you are! It's nearly time for the festival and you're still over here ramping things up for your light novel business! Shouldn't you be getting back to the Grand Narukami Shrine? You weren't thinking of dumping all the festival preparations on us, were you? If so, then you can forget it! Paimon won't accept such a commission!
My, such harsh words. It hurts to hear that kind of talk from you two. But as you can clearly see, I'm here working like a dog for the festival. Yet you say I'm not doing... Let me ask you, little ones. Whoever said that the festival must involve the Grand Narukami Shrine?
Huh? But isn't that a given? This is Inazuma after all.
Yes, that is true. But now that the Sokoku decree has been lifted, Inazuma is no longer the same nation that once resisted change tooth and nail. Therefore, rather than sticking to the same old traditional festival, the Yashiro Commission and I have decided to shake things up a little. This time, we'll be holding an international cultural festival, distinctly Inazuman, but with a unique twist. I suppose I should start by telling you the origins of the Irodori Festival. Legend has it that there were 5 poets in ancient Inazuma who were supremely gifted in singing and writing poetry. They are known as the 5 Kasen. Every year, one of the 5 would present a collection of the group's poems to the shogun for review, which would then spark culture discussions regarding those works. Thanks to them, Inazuma's culture blossomed and gained great influence As time passed, people began creating various tales based on the 5 Kasen. The Irodori Festival was also developed as a result to show appreciation for their works, which so great.
Sounds like a festival that's really rooted in culture.
Indeed. To describe it in the words of the ancients, it'd be refined elegance. Which is precisely why I've decided to revive the Irodori Festival by holding a cultural convention featuring light novels.
But, wait a minute! Light novels?
Please stop looking at me with those baffled expressions. In ancient times, poetry was all the rage. But nowadays, the entertainment format of choice is light. The important thing is not the format, but the creative work itself. It is impossible to come up with anything fresh if you're stuck using some rigid format of the past. Speaking of which, don't you think that the concept of focusing on the now perfectly suits the current Inazuma? And besides, it's a great opportunity to reintroduce Inazuma to Ultivat through light novels. As they say, it's two birds with one stone.
Whoa, that was close. Paimon was nearly carried away by Miko's persuasive. Come on, Miko! You can't fool us. We know you by now. This is all definitely stemming from your own personal interest.
I can't deny that my hobbies had no part to play in this. However, regardless of whether it's light novels or a festival, catching people's attention with a fresh concept is the essence here. Well, what do you say? Aren't you two even a little curious about what interesting things you might see at the festival?
Maybe a little.
Come, let's pay a visit to the venue in Rito together. There we'll meet a special someone who will tell you more about your During the Irodori Festival, the area around the Outlander Affairs Agency will become the main exhibitions. Once things are in full swing, not only will there be lots of official and fan-created work on display, there'll also be exclusive giveaways. This small plaza in front of the International Trade Association will be called the 5 Kasen Plaza during the festival, and nearby shops will be selling special
Wow. How should Paimon put this? It's definitely not your tip. Huh. Miko, what are these blank boards?
Yes, those are...
Ah, Lady I did mention that there would be some reliable helpers coming to assist with the festivities. It appears she meant you two. At last we meet again, Traveler and Paimon. Tell me.
Oh, it's Ayato! Wow, so even a busy guy like yourself is here to attend the Irodori Festival.
Preparing festivals falls under the Yashiro Commission's scope of responsibilities. Seeing as Lady Ai has poured her heart...
Come now, Ayato. We're not we were just about to discuss the boards over here. They're related to our little helper's tasks, so I'll let you give them a detailed rundown.
Certainly. I assume you two already know that the Irodori Festival originated from the 5 Kasen. This Irodori Festival is not only the first major festival to be held in Inazuma since the lifting of the Sakoku Decree, it is also an event deeply rooted in culture and the arts. Therefore, the Yashiro Commission has personally invited several cultural celebrities from other nations. For example, The artist we have invited to paint these portraits hails from the Ashiro Commission will arrange accommodations and food in Inazuma for each of the distinguished guests. However, which is precisely why it would be ideal to have someone familiar with both Inazuma and other nations of Teyvat to serve as a guide for our guests. I knew you would catch on. It is our hope that you would be able to guide the guests from the harbor to their residence at the International Trade Association. This arrival schedule includes the details of the ships on which the guests will be arriving.
It's settled then. My, look at the time. During the festival, most of the Yae Publishing House's editors will be staying near the Outlander Affairs Agency. If you run into any problems, you may find them there.
This festival requires the full cooperation of the Tri-Commission, and there are still many minor details which require my attention, so I must excuse myself for now.
All the details we need about the ships are on the timetable that Ayato gave us. Let's take a closer look and be sure to pick up the passengers according to the time. According to the arrival schedule, there will be a ship arriving from Mondstadt today. The artist for the 5 Kassen portraits should be on board. The boat should be arriving soon, so let's head down to the docks.
Irodori Festival event venue.
Yes, that's right. We are bards from Mondstadt. Word has it that Inazuma has undergone many changes of late. We hope to find fresh inspiration here.
These guests are all bards, aren't they? Well, where's Tongaff Bard then? Huh. Strange. He's pretty famous in Mondstadt. Do you think he didn't receive an Huh? Why's that? Oh, Paimon sees what you're getting at. Even though Vendi no longer rules over Mondstadt, he's still an Archon. If he came rushing to Inazuma at the first mention of a festival, not only would it seem a little childish, it would also sort of be...
Mr. Honorary Knight, Paimon!
It's Klee! Were you also invited to the Irodori Festival?
No, Albedo's the one who received the invitation. But because everyone in the Knights of Favonius has been really busy these days, Albedo arranged for someone here to issue me a dependent pass.
Greetings, Traveler and Paimon. After hearing that Inazuma was making preparations for the Irodori Festival...
Ha! Paimon knew it! Albedo's the one they've invited to paint the 5 Kassen!
It seems that you already know why I'm here. Just so you're aware, I'll be using my... Oh, by the way, do you know where the International Trade Association...
Yeah, the International Trade is where you'll be staying in Inazuma. We'll be heading there too.
Great. Let's get going then.
It's so beautiful here! So many things I've never...
Slow down, Klee. Please be careful not to bump into others. Telling Klee so many stories about Inazuma during the trip was probably not... As a result, she could hardly sleep all the way here. It appears she's even more excited now that we've arrived. Strange. It seems that the editorial director, Mr. Hiroyama, isn't here yet. I'm certain he said that he'd be sure to arrive before me. Well, Mr. Hiroyama was supposed to meet with me and give me some reference materials about the 5 Kasen today. That way, I could better visualize the content for my paintings.
You mean you had no idea what you'd be painting before you arrived in Inazuma?
I only know of the 5 Kasen by name. Because of the sheer age of the tale, very little has been passed down to this day. So Mr. Hiroyama decided to help. I'm the type of painter who can complete a painting quickly as long as I'm inspired. So I agreed on only receiving the detail.
So when do the paintings have to be done by?
According to the festival plans, the portraits will be revealed one at a time throughout the various stages of the Irodori Festival. The
day after tomorrow? Then you're already running out of time!
There's no need to panic. When I was working on light novel illustrations, because the manuscripts are shipped by boat, things were always tight and finished at the last minute. Just last month, to ensure the latest book of A Legend of Sword would be finished for the Irodori Festival, I had to complete the final chapter's illustrations the same day I received the manuscript. I heard that my illustrations were sent to print as soon as they arrived in Inazuma. I still don't know how well they turned out.
Paimon isn't sure if she should feel sympathetic for your working conditions or compliment you on your art.
Of course, I would still prefer to receive any possible reference materials in advance, so that I can be better prepared.
Oh, right! The editors of the Yai Publishing House will all be around the Outlander Affairs Agency these next few days. Who knows? Maybe Mr. Hiroyama's over there too. We'll take you over there to see if we can find him, Albedo.
Alright, it's worth a try. Klee, you haven't slept for a while now.
Okie dokie. Don't worry, Albedo. I'll be on my best behavior.
We're way behind schedule. This can't be happening. The moment we need to contact Ona... Kuroda and I will go back to Inazuma City for an emergency printing run. The demand for this book is so high, though. Even with the emergency prints, it still might not be enough.
Despite everything, we're still lucky that we found out today. If this had happened a few days later, then we'd really be... Hey, do you think that suspicious guy they found in the...
Well, the editorial director is on his way over there to investigate the situation.
Sorry to interrupt, but what's going on here?
Oh, hey, Traveler. Don't worry. It's nothing.
I'm looking for the editorial director, Mr. Hiroyama. Does anyone know where he is now?
Mr. Hirayama is
Oh, hold on a second, Murata. Excuse me, but you must be Calx, the one who was invited to paint the 5 Kassen?
Yes, that's me.
My name is Kuroda. You must be inquiring about information regarding the 5 Kassen. I do apologize, but please make yourself comfortable at the International Trade Association, and I will let Mr. Hirayama know to...
Oh, no need. You guys look super busy, so we can go find him ourselves.
Excuse me, but is there something wrong with it?
Huh? How did you know?
Since you were all aware that Mr. Hirayama needed to send me some supporting materials, that means the editorial director didn't forget about it. Instead, something urgent to add to that, despite being aware that I am Calx. After considering these factors, the only reason you would try to...
Well, earlier today, someone spotted a suspicious outlander sneaking around. The Tenryou Commission was concerned about potential cargo theft, so they contacted everyone who was renting space in the warehouse. It was then that we realized that the latest copies of A Legend of Sword had suddenly gone missing.
What? The books are missing?
Shh, not so loud. Not only is this book an eagerly anticipated release in the last phase of the Irodori Festival, but the author, Jinyu, will be personally...
Because of the dire situation, Mr. Hirayama immediately hurried to the warehouse to determine whether the theft was related to that suspicious outlander.
I see. It would be a great misfortune if A Legend of Sword would not be released on schedule. And quite a disappointment if Mr. Hirayama has gone to the warehouse at the docks.
So the author of A Legend of Sword is Jinyu. Sounds...
Oh, do you know him?
Shincho would definitely be upset if he discovers his books are missing. Let's accompany Albedo to the warehouse. It's you!
I'm here on behalf of the Tenryou Commission, of course. Is that surprising?
No, Sarah! So, tone-deaf bard.
Considering the evidence, it appears that the suspicious
As I have told you, you are a suspect. Before your allegations of theft and illegal entry as a stowaway are cleared, you are to remain silent. Don't, Traveler, Paimon, do you know this self-proclaimed bard from Mondstadt?
Listen, Sarah. Knowing him, it's safe to say that he wasn't behind the theft.
Although he claims to be a special guest for the Irodori Festival, he's failed to present his invitation letter. And just a moment ago, we caught him in a dandelion wine crate near the Sailing Breeze. If it would help shed any light on the situation...
Oh, Fenty! You didn't really come here illegally, did you?
Ouch! Your words wound me! We've been apart for so long, and the moment we meet again, all I'm greeted with is grilling questions and suspicious glares. You arrived in Inazuma via similar means, or so I heard. You of all people should be more understanding, don't you think?
Similar means?
I merely jest. Fear not, for the person who sent me the invitation is none other than Kamisato Ayato of...
But why weren't you on the same ship as the other bard?
Well, once I received the invitation letter, I couldn't help but want to come to Inazuma a little early. It was then that I happened upon a car. Once aboard, I found the captain to be a kindred spirit, and I was treated to an abundance of fine liquor along the way. I must have fallen asleep in the cargo crate while carefully comparing the tastes of dandelion wine and Inazuman sake. And when I woke up, I found myself in this warehouse with a Tenryo Commission General glaring at...
Coming from Venti, this story is quite believable, but it still feels a bit...
Excuse me, I'm the owner of the stolen goods from the IA Publishing House, and based on what you just said, it seems you've been in the warehouse for some time.
Actually, I did hear some faint footsteps around me a couple of times, but I didn't consider...
But if you clearly heard something, why didn't you feel it was unusual?
Oh...
Huh? What did you notice out...
When it comes to burglars, they are generally associated with prying or rummaging through things. What Venti means is that he did not hear anything unusual like that. As for the sound of footsteps, because this is a warehouse where many goods are coming in and out each day, it is quite normal for people to be walking around.
I see. But if that's the case, then we're back to square one regarding the stolen book.
No, not quite. From the facts that have been presented to us, first, whoever took the novels is not a spur-of-the-moment burglar. They had their sights on the books from the very beginning. Second, the culprit was very familiar with the... I knew you'd catch on, Traveler. One person couldn't possibly transport so many heavy books in such a short window of time. It must have been a team effort. It goes without saying that Venti clearly does not match up with our culprits.
Yes, I agree with your reasoning. Mr. Hirayama, the Tenryo Commission will continue by investigating the warehouse staff. If you come across any further clues...
Yes, understood. I'll leave it to you then.
I suppose I'm free as a bird then.
Not so fast. Even though we've cleared the theft allegations, we still haven't ascertained whether your arrival in Inazuma was legal.
Aw, 'tis a shame. I thought surely after my honest account you might let me...
Sara's quite the meticulous one. So, where's your invitation letter, Venti?
Yes, the invitation letter.
How?
Don't be mistaken. I was well aware of how important it was. But I didn't bring any luggage with... Strange. Though I had a little too much to drink, I know that I kept it in a secure place. I even recall being most pleased at coming up with a good idea at the time.
If you were holding the invitation in your hand the whole time, then why did you put it down?
Well, to properly compare the taste of Mondstadt wine and Inazuman sake, I had to hold a glass in each hand. I couldn't both hold the invitation and a glass at the same time. But surely I wouldn't put it in just any random place.
In which case, I believe there's only one place it could be. Have you figured it out, Traveler?
Huh? You're way ahead of Paimon. Do you two already know where the invitation letter is? Huh? That doesn't sound right. The invitation is pretty big.
Drinking too much may occasionally render the tongue a little numb, but it's true. It certainly wouldn't affect the feet.
Huh? Are you sure? His cape doesn't even have any pockets to put stuff.
Well, people do often claim that capes and the like serve no real purpose other than aesthetics. I suppose a cape with pockets would... Ah, yes! I remember now.
This is indeed an invitation letter issued by the Yashiro Commission. Now that we've confirmed this guest's identity, I have no further questions. However, starting tonight, I would advise you to stay at the inner... Now, if you'll excuse me.
There goes Zara. All right, let's go talk to Mr. Hirayama.
Mr. Hirayama, I'm Calx. We had original...
Ah, yes, so you are Calx. I'm very sorry that you've arrived in Inazuma only to find such a mess. These are the materials regarding the 5 Kassen. All the information that we could find is compiled here.
Let's see here. Yes, it's just as I had suspected. Monikers such as Suiko and Aoi no Okina aren't the real names of the 5 Kassen. Though there were once many stories regarding each of the 5 Kassen, the validity of their contents can no longer be verified. But, at the very least, we know that most of the stories were written according to a similar...
So, is the info useful for your paint?
To some extent, yes. However, I must admit that it is still lacking.
I am sorry that this information is not as exhaustive as you had hoped. Though, Lady Yae did say that there are many variations of the story about the 5 Kassen. So all you need to do is follow through with what's in your own heart and create something.
That does sound like something Miko...
Thank you, Mr. Hirayama. No need to worry. I'll find inspiration for the portraits.
Great. I'll leave it to you then, Calx. Oh, and there's one more thing I need to ask of everyone. Tomorrow morning, Mr. Genyu, the author of A Legend of Sword, will be arriving in Inazuma by boat. If you see him, please do not mention the stolen novels. Whether the stolen books are eventually recovered or not, the Yae Publishing House will do its best to ensure that the novel's release is a success. You have my gratitude. I'll be
Well, seems there's nothing more we can do here. What? Huh? Betty? What are you doing over there?
Traveler, Albedo, would you mind coming over here for a moment? There's something peculiar.
What is it, Venti? A piece of paper?
Indeed. When I awakened to find myself in the warehouse this morning, I discovered this paper in the cargo crate where I was sleeping. I didn't think much of it then. I thought it was merely a scrap piece of paper that had fallen into the cargo. After a quick glance, I stuffed it into a place nearby. But on second thought, I think it's worth having you take a look.
Let me see. Suiko chapter. Wait a minute. Isn't Suiko the name of one of...
The story told in this poem roughly boils down to Suiko getting tipsy and letting some poems that were meant for the Shogun get stolen. Ah, this story sounds familiar to my ear. Where have I...
Seriously? It's literally the same story you just experienced yesterday!
Oh, indeed it is.
Yes, I concur. The person who left this paper could quite possibly be the criminal, or even a witness to the... But why leave the paper here in such a fashion? And if the one who left it here...
All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Meeting together in Inazuma like this is a most rare occasion. Since we've been busy from the start of the day, let us find an inn with good drink to keep our thirst up.
Hey! You just sobered up and you're already thinking about more drinks? And let's not forget that Albedo still has a portrait to complete.
No, it's fine. Let's all go for a drink together. It'll be my treat.
Wait a minute! What about your portrait?
As I mentioned before, I'm the kind of artist who can work quickly once I'm inspired. If I use a model as reference for the piece, we must pay him back.
In that case, we'll need to order... One year, The poet Suiko made his way to Tenchukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
It's so nice to do. Wow, you really came through, Albedo. You were able to complete the first portrait before.
Yes, it really is a sight to behold. Not only does it harken to the traditional style of Inazuma, but it also makes use of modern aesthetics. My figure is particularly striking, even though I'm sound asleep in the portrait.
Hey, don't get too full of yourself, Tone-Deaf Bard. You were just a model. The person in the artwork isn't actually you. Well, Albedo, who will be your next portrait?
The next one will be Aoi no Okina of the Five Kasen.
Albedo, might I suggest waiting a little before starting on the next one? Who knows? You might soon discover another story.
Another story?
I believe he's referring to the possibility of finding another paper with tales of the Five Kasen.
Do you think the mysterious person who left the first paper will strike again?
It certainly is a possibility. Also, for example, the reference materials make mention of 5 legendary figures. It appears that throughout all the stories, there is never a chapter dedicated to Kuronushi.
Yes, I'm also curious about these stories myself. But who knows? They may merely be akin to the old saying in Mondstadt. Seeds of stories brought by the wind and cultivated by time. So for now, we need but just wait patiently.
The passenger ship from Liyue that we're supposed to meet should be arriving soon. Let's go to the docks. You know that Shincho will be on board, right? So we should be careful not to say anything about the stolen novels. You must be visiting from Liyue to participate in the Irodori Fest. Huh? Is it Paimon, or have we met somewhere before?
Yes, in fact we have. I'm Shu from Feiyun Commerce Guild. Aboard this ship we have calligraphers, the inventor of Theater Mechanicus previously came to the Feiyun Commerce Guild seeking investment. Although the guild manager... We heard that they'd be demonstrating the game and letting people try Theater Mechanicus at the Irodori Festival. So the guild manager instructed Master and I to take the opportunity to come to Ina's...
Oh! Speaking of which, where's...
Master, he's,
Whoa! Xingqiu's just...
It's the Traveler and Paimon.
Oh, we aren't actually guests. We're actually guides for the Irodori Festival.
Please, no need to worry. I was a little too... yes, now that we've arrived, the Kanjo Commission will likely wish to inspect our invitation letter. Let's keep it in hand. Huh? That's odd. There was a piece of paper underneath my bag.
Oh, let Paimon have a look! Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's from the same series as the story.
The story you found before?
Oh, yeah! In the warehouse down by the, Yeah, that's it! A friend of ours is on Rito to paint portraits of the 5 Kasen. If you can find one of the stories and give it to this friend of ours, then there's a chance you'll become the...
Wait a moment. So you mean that...
Hey! It's hard coming up with stuff...
There's a chance of meeting Calx... Really? That's wonderful! I knew that Calx would attend the Irodori Festival, but convincing my father to let me come to Inazuma was proving... Just a few days later, word then came that Calx would... It is a most rare opportunity for both Calx and I to be in Inazuma together, but it seemed he would be too...
Don't worry, Xingqiu. Even though Calx has work to do, he still has time to see Fred. Also, we heard that Calx did illustrations for your...
So you've already heard. To be honest, my works have drawn little interest in Liyue. However, the novel... Calx is not only a skilled artist, but he also carries out his craft with great alacrity. I heard... But when I looked at the art, the brushwork did not even look the slightest bit rough. Oh my! I was beginning to get carried away there. Let us depart. Quickly now.
Luckily, the idea of meeting Albedo managed to draw Xingqiu's attention and keep the situation under wraps. Let's just hope we don't let anything slip while meeting Albedo.
After day.
We're way behind schedule.
Traveler, Paimon, how...
You must be Calx. It's a great... forgive me. It's rude of me to
And you may call me Albedo, then.
No.
Why not? Seeing as we're both friends... Besides, we've already corresponded with each other...
It's not just you, Albedo. We haven't seen Xingqiu act this awkward before either.
You guys... Oh, by the way, we happened to find a story from the poem hunt competition at the
you know, that thing where we have to find pieces of paper with story...
Huh? Oh, I understand the story.
Splendid. Though, I'm still piecing...
If all of you are free, why don't we discuss this?
Well...
Do you have other plans, Xingqiu?
No, not at all.
Shimura's...
That's perfectly fine with me. But I must first unpack my luggage.
Something didn't quite add up just...
Huh? No way! Paimon thinks we acted well together.
No, Paimon, I'm not referring to us. Traveler, what are your...
Huh? Xingqiu says...
Paimon, you read the poem, right? Although it may seem...
Read them together? So Suiko lost Aoi no Okina's poem in a drunken stupor. Huh? Wait a minute. Could today's story be hinting that the one who... No way! That can't be right!
And that is precisely the point of suspicion. If Xingqiu had only just... Moreover, he didn't raise any questions when I suggested...
Are you saying that...
Yes, that is...
But how could Xingqiu be the book thief?
Calm down, Paimon. Even though this is the first time I've met Xingqiu in person, we've communicated via letters for some time now. I do have some understanding. I think there must be some deeper motive.
Oh? Could she...
It's difficult to say at this point. But given that Uyu Restaurant is indoors, it'll be easy for us to detect anyone following or eavesdropping on us. I'll be relying on your assistance to get to the bottom of this matter. Good. Then let's head to Uyu Restaurant. I don't see anyone suspicious around.
This whole thing's starting to make...
First, we must ascertain whether Xingqiu was already in Inazuma or not. If we can find... Since we're still waiting for him, why don't you go and chat with other guests in the restaurant?
The last phase of the Irodori Festival is when they release the...
That's right! A signed first...
I've seen Genyu's signature before. His handwriting is super...
He'll be there in person on the day of the release.
Wait a minute. Did you just hear that? Albedo? What's your...
I will try to break the ice. If he really is hiding something, then he might feel even more...
Oh! Come to think of it, Xingqiu mentioned that he'd like to thank you for finishing the illustrations on time. He said they looked amazing despite the time...
Is that so?
Hello there. What can I get for you?
Hi! Do you have any special...
Why, of course. I personally recommend our freshly caught seafood. It's been pouring these past 2 days, so the fishing boats haven't been able to sail.
So the weather at sea has been bad these past few days?
It sure has. A few guests from Liyue.
Oh, this might be some...
That was delicious. Inazuma...
That's good. We were worried you might not have an appetite because you didn't sleep well. Now's our chance. Let's talk to Xingqiu and see if he says anything useful. Maybe we could start by asking him about...
Well, I've never embarked on such a long journey before.
Speaking of the journey...
Well, to be honest, I spent most of the trip...
Well, that didn't... By the way, Xingqiu...
Oh,
I was reading a novel called...
Didn't you feel dizzy while reading
It was nothing I couldn't handle. Don't forget, I'm proficient in the arts of the Guhua clan. That being said, there were quite a few people aboard.
Well, there doesn't seem to be anything suspicious about what he said so far.
To be honest, there wasn't much to see. Just water all around, morning to night. The sheer monotony. So, when the peak of Mount Yogo finally appeared in the distance as we approached the islands of Inazuma, everyone crowded the deck to have a look. However, the ship sailed along at a crawling pace.
Paimon didn't catch anything suspicious so far. Oh, right! If it took an entire day to reach the docks, then it would...
We learned a couple of things from his account, but we still require more evidence. Let's discuss creating novels with Xingqiu.
While it is entertaining to read novels, writing one is an endeavor of its own. You must give great thought to every detail. And even when you have come up with interest...
I couldn't agree more. Whether it's writing a book, creating art...
Xingqiu and Albedo are getting into some deep talk.
Speaking of illustrations, my novel didn't sell well in Liyue, so I must admit that I had some reservations regarding its potential. Yet you've consistently managed to select the most important scene of the chapter for your illustrations.
Thank you. However, I took some risks in... Light novel illustrations are typically centered around the characters, but...
Well, that scene was intended to depict the change in the world, so I thought it very fitting to draw only scenery.
Doesn't sound like anything suspicious has come up so far.
No, there was a crack in his alibi. My illustrations were sent for printing the moment they arrived. Xingqiu, we have something very important to ask you now.
Oh? Why the solemn looks all of a sudden? Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Mr. Okazaki told us earlier that actually the weather at sea was very bad these last few days. So when you said that everyone came running to the deck to see Mount Yogo, that couldn't have happened!
On top of that, the latest installment of A Legend of Sword will only be revealed at the Irodori Festival. Even we, the creators, haven't received a sample copy. If that's the case, how could you know what my illustrations look like?
Well...
The jig's up, Xingqiu. You were already in Inazuma before today, weren't you? Are you in some kind of danger but can't tell us the truth? Don't worry. The Traveler and Albedo are no pushovers. We can help you.
No, please. You misunderstand. I suppose my lack of sleep is inevitably taking its toll on my mind. I didn't notice for a moment that you were testing me at all. I did in fact come to Inazuma early to handle some things. Let me consider how to explain this. Oh, this is most embarrassing.
Oh, well, if this isn't a coincidence, I didn't expect to see everyone here.
Huh? Tone-deaf bard, what are you doing here?
I heard that the owner of this establishment has some fine-aged wines. I didn't want to miss the opportunity to taste them.
Paimon knew you couldn't possibly be up to anything good.
Says who? In fact, I come as the bearer of good tidings. I just bumped into Kujo Sara a moment ago. She said that the Tenryou Commission has apprehended the criminal who stole all those copies of A Legend of Sword. You needn't worry about it any longer.
Huh? The criminal who stole A Legend of Sword?
Did I say something I shouldn't have?
Oh no. The person they apprehended. Was it by chance an editor named Onodera?
Apologies, Kujo Sara didn't mention a name. But I saw her taking someone toward Hanamizaka.
Everyone, it's too late to explain. We must make haste and rescue Onodera. right. Onodera is innocent.
Oh, so you must be the author of A Legend of Sword. I didn't expect to see...
Anyway, you mustn't take him away.
No need to worry, Zhenyu. I've just explained everything to Madame Kujou.
Yes. In fact, we were just getting ready to leave.
Oh, phew. What a relief. Wait a minute. Does everyone else here already know?
Well, to be precise, we had dispatched 2 additional squads here.
Shinjo looks pretty flustered. What exactly is going on here?
Though it's most embarrassing, it appears quite... In the end, I'm the one responsible for this whole predicament.
No, Zhenyu. It's only appropriate that for the Irodori Festival, I recommended the idea of selling newly released novels signed by the authors. Not only was this the first major project I was in charge of since joining the Yae Public, however, I did not discuss our plans with the authors in it.
Yes, to be frank, calligraphy is not my...
Even though such an event will be difficult for Zhenyu, so these past few days, I came up with the idea. I thought everything would work out without... To make things worse, I was on vacation.
Onodera, I agreed to your proposal because... Also, I knew that Onodera had been misled by one of my prior signatures. At a previous event, the Yae Publishing House had requested autographs of authors, so that they could be put on display. I practiced tirelessly for an entire day to finally deliver a stylish and... But, looking back on it now, I had dug myself into a hole by delivering that nice signature for the sake of my pride.
Hey, come on, you two. Loosen up a little. The theft was nothing more than a simple misunderstanding. Besides, everyone has something they do not wish others to see.
Yeah, that's right. All that matters is that Shinjo and his books are okay.
Onodera, I think you should explain the truth regarding the stolen books to the rest of the people on Rito.
Yes, I understand. I'll apologize to everyone.
We should probably be heading back to Rito as well. Let's tag along.
Onodera? What are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be on leave these few days?
I'm very sorry for all the trouble that I've caused.
Yes, Onodera, but why didn't you tell everyone earlier? If you had told us, we could have thought of some ways to help you.
That's right. We're a team, and we should be helping each other in tough situations like this.
Let's leave the past behind us now. Our first priority is to help Zhenyu with his signatures. How is your progress so far?
My progress is not what I had hoped for. Even after working through the night these past few days, I've only finished perhaps 1/10 of the signatures.
Oh, no wonder Shinjo looked so sleepy today.
I understand. Murata, go back to Yae Publishing House and get Aratani to book a room on the 2nd floor of the Uyu restaurant. We'll be using it for Genyu's emergency calligraphy lessons.
Yes, Mr. Hirayama. It just so happens that my brother is a calligrapher. Should I ask him to lend his assistance as well?
Yes, good idea. Ah, you've just reminded me. 2 calligraphers from Liyue arrived today. We've worked with them before, so I'll go and ask them to help out too.
It seems I'm really in for it now.
No need to worry, Zhenyu. I'm sure you can do it. Didn't you finish the last chapter of your novel in just 1 week's time?
Yes, but writing novels and learning calligraphy are two entirely different skills.
Even though Xingqiu still has to deal with his handwriting issue, Paimon somehow feels a little relieved now.
I always used to prefer working alone in my workshop, but I've come to realize that solving problems with others also has its merits.
We also owe a special ode of gratitude to the mysterious person who has been leaving important info for us along the way.
Huh? You mean whoever left behind those stories about the 5 Kassen?
Pardon me, but what are you talking about?
Oh, right. We haven't had a chance to explain things to Xingqiu yet.
I see. It appears that Onodera and I were spotted when we were moving the books. Albedo, may I ask you one thing? Are you able to include me in a portrait as well? Not only do I owe the successful resolution of today's incident to that story, but I also hope that I'll remember this lesson.
No problem. Considering the similarities between the portrait and the events that have taken place, your proposal is very reasonable.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akahito.
Albedo really is something. He finished the portrait of Aoi no Okina in no time at all. Wonder how Xingqiu's calligraphy training is going at Uyu Restaurant. Hey, do you think whoever left those stories for us could be hiding somewhere nearby? Oh, hello? Mr. Storywriter? Are you here? Could you please help Xingqiu with something? He's a friend of ours, and the release of his new book is super important to him. Oh, what's that sound? It was just a cat. Looks like we can't make them reveal themselves that easily. It's getting late now, but let's go back and get some rest. We still have to go to the docks and wait for another ship tomorrow morning.
Enjoy the blessing of Lesser Lord Kusanali. An Aishan blessing.
It's already time for us to be at the docks. Let's go! The arrival schedule says ship stopover, 1 person. Does that mean we're only welcoming 1 guest today? Look, that figure on the wharf. It looks like Kazuha.
Greetings, Traveler and Paimon. I heard there would be guides for the Irodori Festival, but I didn't expect it would be you two.
We didn't expect to see you either. Returning as a guest for the Irodori Festival, no doubt.
I was a little surprised myself when I received the invitation. But after wandering the outside world for so long, it's good to have an opportunity to return to my homeland and pay respects to my old friends.
Kazuha, when we saw you in the distance just now, you seemed to be looking for something. What happened?
Ah, yes. You see, when I came off the boat with everyone just now, I suddenly heard light footsteps around me. I could tell they were not footsteps of a regular passenger. But by the time I turned around, the person had already disappeared. I only heard a splash come from below the pier. Even though I didn't manage to catch a glimpse of them, I found this strange piece of paper by my feet.
Oh, does the paper happen to have a poem written on it?
Huh. How did you know? Fascinating. It's almost hard to believe such things could happen. Sure, here it is. Please, have a look.
Last time, Aoi no Okina's poem ended with a reference to Akihito. And sure enough, this is a story about him. The story this time basically says that Akihito got his name from his love of red seals. However, the shogun discovered that he had committed plagiarism, and he was soon exiled. Well, if Paimon were to rate today's story, it sounds pretty unfortunate.
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with this story. I too was once wanted as a criminal by the shogunate. So I'm not all that different from Akihito mentioned in this story.
But according to the story, Akihito was exiled by the shogun because of his wrongdoings. You did nothing wrong, Kazuha. Huh? Traveler, what are you thinking about?
Ah, by the way, you mentioned that your friend has been struggling because he's unable to sign his name quickly, right? In Liyue and Inazuma, there is a saying, that which has been stamped has also been signed. Perhaps using a seal could be a feasible solution. While sailing at sea, I sometimes carve things to pass the time. If you wish to create a stamp for his seal, I might be able to help.
Wow, that's an idea! Quick, let's go tell Albedo!
Interesting. A story of the Five Kasen appears again, and with a timely solution. A stamped seal, huh? Let me think. Indeed, it is an efficient solution. If we use a stamp, then Xingxue won't have to struggle with his handwriting anymore. However... Since Xingqiu's signature has been previously revealed to the readers, it would seem insincere if he only used the stamped seal for his new books. But I have another idea. Using a seal is a part of it, of course. Let's go to Ouya restaurant now to discuss my idea with everyone.
If you're tired from walking all around the festival, how about you sit...
Yes, that's it, Zhenyu. Your writing has greatly improved today, which means yesterday's intensive training was effective.
My apologies, but I simply can't do it anymore. My hands are so sore that I can't even move them anymore. I should have known better than to read novels during calligraphy class.
You just had a 10-minute break. Come on, you can do this.
When it comes to pushing a deadline, there's no one more brutal than Mr. Hirayama.
No wonder Lady Yai would always send the editorial director to handle troublesome authors.
Whoa, this is getting scary. It hasn't even been that long and Shicho's already zombified.
Mr. Hirayama, we found a solution that might just solve our dilemma. In both Liyue and Inazuma, seals are widely used as the equivalents of a signature. If we use a stamp to leave the author's seal on the books, then we could make the signature process a lot easier. Of course, a seal on its own is not enough. So, I propose that each signature consists of two parts. First, we'll use a personalized seal. We can simply carve one using Chenyu's signature as the design. In addition, I'll also design a simple but elegant pattern that's easy for Chenyu to write. That way, he will only need to draw a simple pattern on each book.
Let me think. All right, I think that would work. Not only does it still involve the author's own handwriting, but the result should be very beautiful as well.
So, what you mean to say is, I've been saved from this predicament?
Mr. Hirayama, it suddenly occurred to me that the reason we gave up on live book signings previously was because it would take too long for the author to sign each book. But if we adopted Calx's proposed method, we might have enough time to do signatures at the live event. And if all the authors signed their books in the same fashion, then Genyu's signature wouldn't look out of place.
If you think it's feasible, I would certainly be happy to design signatures for the other authors as well.
Yes, and you may leave carving the stamps to me.
In that case, I shall contact the other two authors participating in the new release event.
It is a great honor to use a signature designed by Calx. My pen name is quite complicated and isn't suitable for signing events. However, if we implement this new format, then it'll be a dream come true for me as well.
Great! Looks like everyone's on board with the idea.
I'm sorry to have kept you busy for so long, Jinyu. Please, take the next few days to have a good rest. We'll handle everything from here. The books that Jinyu already signed can be used as special prizes in future events held by the Eye Publishing House.
We did it! The event is saved!
Thanks to everyone's efforts, Onodera and I are finally free of that mess.
That's right! You're finally free, Xingqiu! Maybe you should step outside for some fresh air.
Welcome to Uyu Restaurant. Please talk to me if you want to order.
We still have some time to burn. Where should we go next?
Traveler, there you are.
Oh, it's Ayaka! And Venti! That's an interesting combo.
I was just going to the festival venue to prepare the Ikebana lesson when I found a strange piece of paper on a flower stand. This bard just happened to be close by at the time. He informed me that you've also found similar papers recently. As such, we came together to find you two. But the paper she found isn't quite the same as the ones we found before. Here's the paper. Please, have a look.
Huh. All the poems we found before were roughly the same length. But this one is only 2 lines.
And even though there are only 2 short sentences, neither of them are next to the title or centered on the page. The position of the writing seems to indicate that there is other content written on this paper besides these 2 lines.
If we take the poem literally, it reads, "Dip this paper in water and see the truth naturally appear." Speaking of which, I have an ancient text at home, specializing in ancient and exotic stories. It mentions a special ink that will show itself when wet and disappear when it's dry.
So, shall we give it a whirl? It just so happens that there's a pond nearby.
Heal your body and soul.
Wow, look! It's really working! More words have appeared on the paper! Let Paimon see what it says. Story says that after Sumizomi got the collection of poems from Akihito and put them into a stream of water, the plagiarized words in the poem became blurry. Huh? Why would that happen?
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, handwritten text could easily become smudged in books when exposed to moisture. To ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink or coat the paper's surface with a waterproof coating once the writing was finished.
Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce, and the waterproof coating could also prove just as difficult. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the Shogun, surely one of those two methods was used to protect it. But as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
Which means Akihito didn't plagiarize his work. He was set up!
Yes, it appears that this is the truth that Sumizome's story is trying to convey. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subjects to use for Akihito and Sumizome's portraits. Kazuha, Ayaka, would you be willing to be the models for my paintings?
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
There you go. The next two portraits should be ready in no time.
Yes. And now that all 4 stories have all been collected, the story of the 5 Kasen is now fully completed.
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kasen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akihito.
Akihito had once belonged to the 5 Kasen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akihito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kasen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing, which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
Yeah. Ever since we completed the story of the 5 Ka... One of the 5 Kasen is called... It's just that... How could the story of the... Oh! Huh? Not noticed what...
What he means is...
Huh? That's right. The key line... An average person could never... Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizo. However, for the perpetrator who framed he was worried that if this poem was seen by the Shogun, then the Shogun... So in desperation, he threatened Aoi no Okina to make him tear out this poem.
Which means... The one who threatened Aoi no Okina is the same person that framed Akihito! What? Kuranushi?
That's right. Though there are only 4 poems, they still managed to tell the complete story of all 5 Kasen. Since the shogun mentioned in the poems is certainly not the one of the 5 Kasen, the only character left is the mysterious one with an unknown identity.
Oh, okay. Paimon is finally starting to get it now.
However, this also brings something else to mind. The story of the 5 Kasen has more or less reflected everything that's been happening around us lately. Which begs the question, is there a Kuronushi in our world as well?
A Kuronushi? In our world?
Speaking of which, I wonder if our dear Kazuha has come up with anything.
Oh, right! Kazuha! He's been pretty quiet this whole time. Let's ask him!
Make sure you get in line early to buy your special edition drinks!
Hey, Kazuha! Are you okay? You've been standing in front of this blank canvas for a while, and you don't look so good.
Apologies for making a wild assumption, but has the story of the 5 Kasen reminded you of anything?
Yes. A few things did come to mind, actually. However, they were nothing more than some past incidents regarding my family. I don't mind sharing the stories, but I'd prefer not to bring you any more trouble.
Hey, we're all friends here, Kazuha. You can always tell us whatever's on your mind.
Kaidehara, please forgive my assumption, but perhaps you were thinking of the Raiden Gokuden?
The Raiden Gokuden? What's that?
It appears that Miss Kamisato and I were thinking of the same thing. But it also has much to do with the Yashiro Commission. It would be improper to speak of it here without the consent of Miss Kamisato.
It's fine. Those of us here are all trustworthy, so there isn't any harm in it. However, this matter is somewhat complicated and may be difficult to explain. Let me start with the Raiden Gokuden. As you all know, the Yashiro Commission's primary purpose is managing ceremonial and cultural affairs, and Inazuma's art of forging swords is a very important part of our culture. The Raiden Gokuden were once the top 5 schools of the forging art in Inazuma. Although these families were swordsmiths by craft, they also held many important positions in the Yashiro Commission. Unfortunately, of the 5, only the Amenoma art still maintains its artisan lineage. The descendants of the Ishin art are also still alive, but the craft has been lost to time. The descendants of the Ishin art are none other than the Kaidehara family.
Whoa! We knew Kazuha came from a noble family, but we had no idea about his connection to the Yashiro Commission and sword-making.
Yes, but that's all part of the past now. The Ishin art was lost with my great-grandfather's generation. My grandfather was dissatisfied with my great-grandfather's lack of effort. When he was young, my grandfather traveled all over Tevat to find a way to revive the family business. But it was to no avail. And in my generation, our last remaining family property was lost as well.
I heard my elder brother mention that the decline of the Raiden Gokuden happened very rapidly. In the span of a few decades, 3 of the families suffered various misfortunes and disappeared completely. Later, there was speculation that all of these misfortunes stemmed from some background machinations, meaning that someone wanted to wipe out the Raiden Gokuden. However, since not every family of the Raiden Gokuden came to ruin, such explanations were treated as nothing more than a conspiracy theory.
Indeed. I've also believed such ideas were just theories and rumors. However, I know that a major incident happened to my great-grandfather when he was young. Not only did it affect the Kaedehara clan, but it nearly jeopardized the Kamisato clan's position in the Yashiro Commission as well. After reading the story of the 5 Kasen, I can't help but feel like it's pointing me toward the truth behind that incident.
What exactly happened happened to your great-grandfather, Kazuha?
I still can't say. I need to speak with someone to verify the details. Let's meet here again at noon tomorrow. I will tell you everything I know then.
Festivals always attract so many people.
Ah, you're here. It appears everyone has arrived. Last night, I visited a former servant who once worked for my family. I was able to learn the entirety of what happened all those years ago. In my great-grandfather's generation, the Ishin art was tasked with forging an important Goshinto according to an ancient forging diagram. Though all the craftsmen involved were very experienced, the process was still unsuccessful. Every blade that was forged was defective. When the deadline came, the blade still wasn't finished. The Kaidahara clan and Yashiro Commission then However, they met fierce resistance from the crafts. The Kaidahara clan was severely punished for this. Moreover, I heard that the head of the Kamisato clan was injured by—
Yes. The sudden passing of the family head left the Kamisato clan leaderless. Treacherous people took advantage of the situation and put the family's status in the Yashiro Commission at jeopardy. This single incident had profound effects. Even after the position as head of the clan was passed to my father, the Kamisato clan still wasn't able to regain its prior reputation. But, thanks to my brother, everything is getting better now.
The failure to forge the blade was ultimately attributed to a lack of required skill and finesse. The Kaidahara clan and the Yashiro Commission always believed that was the case. However, The story of the 5 Kasen seems to imply that the failure didn't stem from a lack of skill, but rather the diagram. Miss Kamisato, I heard yesterday that the Yashiro... Might I ask you to do me a...
Yes, I understand. I will go back and search for the diagram. Please come meet me.
Festivals always attract so many people. If you lie on the grass, you can feel the heartbeat of the world. It is something of a luxury, but I love listening to the rain from the courtyard.
Everyone, I've managed to find the old diagram.
Though the diagram is well preserved, you can still tell that it's seen at least 3 or 4 centuries of history.
Whoa, that's pretty old. Is it still possible to find any evidence of tampering?
At this point, we can only try our luck and see how we fare.
Although the effect is not too obvious, you can still see that some words have now started to smudge. Kazuha, this is clear evidence that this chart was indeed tampered with. Someone framed the Kaedehara clan all those years ago.
I see. But I fear that I've discovered this secret too late. When my grandfather was young, he proposed reviving the Ishin art many times to my great-grandfather. But my grandfather was only scolded for being too foolhardy. Yesterday, the former family servant said that my great-grandfather even went to the Yashiro Commission to request that diagram from the head of the Kamisato clan. He then showed that diagram to my grandfather and asked him and his subordinates to try to forge the sword. Sure enough, my grandfather also failed. My great-grandfather then told him, "If you can't find the secret within, then the Ishin art deserves to fade from the world." My grandfather left Inazuma in a rage after hearing those words. He didn't ever see my great-grandfather again, even till the day of his passing. Looking back at it now, the argument between the two of them was simply meaningless.
Oh, Kazuha.
I heard that your great-grandfather was very industrious when he was young, but later in life, he no longer bothered with the forging arts. It appears that his failure took quite a toll on him.
Kazuha, did your great-grandfather really say, "If you can't find the secret within"? Did he use those exact words?
Yes. The servant said that he personally heard those words, and still remembers them very clearly. My grandfather was so angry at the time that he smashed my great-grandfather's cherished bonsai tree.
Yes, it appears that you understand my meaning. Kazuha, if your great-grandfather thought that the Ishin art lacked finesse, then after witnessing his son's failure, wouldn't he have said something more along the lines of, "Your skills aren't sufficient"? But instead he said, "If you can't find the secret within." Don't you find that a little strange?
Huh? Oh. So you're saying my great-grandfather may have very well known that the failure was due to someone's tampering?
Yes. The current evidence suggests that is highly likely.
I apologize, but would you all please accompany me to the Tenryou Commission? After I became a wanted criminal, the Tenryou Commission seized my family's last remaining estate, which contained all of my family's old belongings. I want to inquire about the whereabouts of those belongings. If I can find them, we might be able to get some clues.
All right, let's get moving.
What are you all doing here? Did something happen on Rito?
Kujo Sara. Perhaps you still remember me.
Yes, I do. You're Kaedehara Kazuha, a wanted criminal during the Vision Hunt decree. However, your arrest warrant has since been repealed.
Sara, we'd like to ask about the Kaedehara clan's property that was seized by the Tenryou Commission. Do you know where all their belongings are now?
Yes, the items seized at that time are currently stored in the warehouse next to the police station. Since Kaedehara has come back to Inazuma, those items should be returned to their rightful owner.
No, I'm afraid you misunderstand. I'm not here to reclaim those belongings. I just want to investigate them for a personal matter.
I see. All right, I'll inform the police station. They'll take you into the warehouse.
Thank you, Sara!
Kaedehara, about the Vision Hunt decree.
That's all in the past now, Kujo-Sara. There's no need to mention it again. I know you've also had your own convictions and struggles. However, may I ask something of you?
Yes? What is it?
Currently, I have no plans to stay in Inazuma. As a result, those items from my family's estate are of no use to me. Madam Kujo, I believe you are a person of integrity. After our investigation is over, I'd like to ask if you can handle those belongings for me. Please, sell them, and use the money to help the poor.
All right, I understand. I'll be sure to take care of it. I've already informed. As for all the belong...
The defenses on the left side of the tower need to be strengthened.
Ah, you must be here to investigate the Kaedehara clan's belongings. Madame Kujo's already informed me of the situation. Please, come this way. The Kaedehara clan's belongings are stored in this warehouse. Unfortunately, the items are scattered throughout in order to save space. My deepest apologies. However, I have clearly marked the corresponding items, so they shouldn't be too difficult to find. I'll be waiting for you at the door. Please, come see me if you require any assistance.
Kazuha, since the items are scattered throughout the building, I propose we split up and look for clues.
Yes, sounds like a plan. Thanks for your help, everyone.
Oh, it's you. Unfortunately, I have yet to find anything of value here.
Whoa, this folding screen looks pretty old, though.
Yes, perhaps if it were better maintained, then it could fetch a decent price. However, I doubt it could be sold in its current condition. I was taking a closer look just now and noticed a large piece of dirt caught in the fabric fibers on the back side. The soil is deeply embedded into the cloth. That means a great deal of force was used when the dirt was lodged into the cloth. It's likely that this patch of dirt is from the very flower pot thrown by Kazuha's grandfather. Because this is not what we're looking for now. Let me think. If I wanted to leave a message behind, I would probably choose to leave it on something a little more special.
Albedo seems to be thinking pretty hard. We better not bother him.
There must be somewhere. Do you see all these pots here? Some of them are bound to have liquor inside.
Hey! Everyone else is trying hard to help, and you're over here looking for a drink?
I merely jest, of course. Come on, we're close to uncovering the truth now. Why do you look so worried?
Well, Paimon doesn't really get why Kazuha told Sara to sell all these belongings. What if we don't end up finding anything today? Then wouldn't Kazuha lose the chance of finding out what really happened all those years ago? You know, just saying.
I know you are worried about Kazuha, but if you ask me, he is stronger than you think. Since Kazuha made such a request to Sara, that indicates he's already made his choice. Whether we find out the truth or not today, Or whatever it turns out to be. He's ready to accept it. No, not intuition. Rather, I've lived for a long time now, so you could say I have some experience in reading people. Leave the things here to me. You two can look around elsewhere.
What did you find, Shinjo?
I found quite the pile of old books. These books here are all related to smelting steel, and these are about the process of forging blades. This pile over here is all about plants and flowers.
The books about plants and flowers must have belonged to Kazuha's great-grandfather.
I skimmed through them just now, but I didn't find anything particularly worth noting. I shall take a closer look and let you know if I find anything.
Oh, it's you. I'm currently investigating the sword rack.
Oh, since the Kaidahara clan was a family of renowned swordsmiths, then this blade should be super valuable, right? Maybe it's a treasure of the Ishin art!
I'm afraid not. Although the sword rack is made of fine wood, the swords placed here appear to be quite ordinary. Due to the dire financial situation of the late Kaidahara clan, everything of value has probably been sold off already. The blade on the sword hasn't been sharpened, but there are many signs of use on the hilt. Perhaps Kaidahara used it for training as a child.
Let Paimon see! Oh, there seems to be a couple uneven characters etched into the scabbard. Kazu-ha. Wow, so it really was Kazuha's! Paimon can imagine what Kazuha was like as a kid.
I will continue investigating here and call you if I find anything interesting.
Everyone, I've found something that you should all have a look at.
Oh, seems Kazuha discovered something. Let's go see what he's got.
This flower pot was in my house for a long time. I heard that it was left behind by my great-grandfather.
Yeah, the plants seem to have been dead for a while now.
Well, after my great-grandfather stopped studying the forging arts, he picked up the hobby of keeping bonsai plants. Most of his prized plants were given to others once he became seriously ill. But he specifically left behind this dead plant at the time, and even instructed my grandfather not to throw it away in his will. My grandfather deeply regretted that he never managed to reconcile with my great-grandfather, so he left the plant exactly as it was. But now that I think about it, my great-grandfather could very well have left it behind for other reasons.
Now that you mention it, this flower pot is kinda suspicious.
Yes. Let's take a closer look, shall we?
We finally found something! It's only a bunch of blank paper. Do you think someone already discovered the compartment and swapped the contents?
No, I do not think that is the case here. See the paper? It's quite yellowed, which means it's very old.
You mean to say that these sheets have been written with special ink, like that which Miss Kamisato found before?
Yes, I agree with this hypothesis.
Okay, let's give it a dunk then.
There is a pond outside the police station. I'll use the water there.
weren't just plain old sheets of paper, were they?
Just as everyone guessed, after I sprinkled some water onto the paper, writing did indeed begin to appear on it. It is a letter, written by my great-grandfather.
Oh? What does the letter say?
It is. I'll tell you what my great-grandfather knew at the time, but before that, I wish to take you somewhere. Everyone, please follow me.
Kaedehara, why did you lead us to this beach?
It is. In fact, my great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan tracked the fleeing swordsmiths to this very location. Our hypothesis was correct. My great-grandfather was well aware of the truth behind the defective blades. And it was right here where they encountered the culprit who framed the Kaedehara clan and the Raiden Gokaden. It reads, "To whoever reads this letter, I, Kaedehara Yoshinori, have been held to a certain secret throughout my entire life. I don't have much longer in this world, and after much consideration, I finally decided to disclose the matter. All those years ago, when I was pursuing the swordsmiths alongside Commissioner Kamisato of the Yashiro Commission, I was not injured by one of the fleeing smiths. Rather,
it was night, and after the clues led us down to shore, I waited for the culprits to show themselves. However, there were no swordsmiths in sight, only a single eccentric stranger. This stranger claimed to be the one behind the failed forgings, and said that he had been patiently waiting for us. He then threatened to destroy the Raiden Gokaden. That person was of able body, and in a blink of an eye, myself and the accompanying samurai had been defeated. Commissioner Kamisato was severely wounded, and I barely escaped death myself. My hat had fortunately blunted a blow to my head. The unusual stranger could have easily claimed my life at that moment. But, after noticing my appearance, he stopped his attacks and sternly asked if I had any connection with the name Niwa. I answered that it was my father's surname, and after my father disappeared, I was adopted by the Kaedehara family. Upon hearing my answer, the stranger paused. After a long silence, he suddenly said, "Tell her this. My name is Kunikuzushi." He then turned and left.
Wow. So that's what really happened.
Yes. My great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan escaped from death and learned that the forging diagram had been tampered with by Kunikuzushi. However, due to the encounter, the head of the Kamisato clan was worried that my great-grandfather would be falsely accused of being involved with the perpetrator. So even on his deathbed, the master of the Kamisato clan cautioned my great-grandfather to never speak of what happened. Because the perpetrator said he would destroy the Raiden Gokaden, my great-grandfather worried that the perpetrator would still return for vengeance. So, to protect his loved ones, he closed the family business. He said, "As the leader of the Kaedehara clan, I am deeply ashamed to witness the decline of the Ishin art. But as a father, it is my priority to ensure the safety of my children and grandchildren." Yes, that's right. If my grandpa had somehow discovered the secret behind the tampered diagram all those years ago, perhaps my great-grandfather would have told him the truth. Unfortunately, he failed to catch any of the hints in my great-grandfather's words. Miss Kamisato, it appears you were unaware of the happenings that my great-grandfather described here. What are your thoughts?
I suppose the reason the head of the Kamisato house never spoke of this to the family was due to similar safety concerns. If the perpetrator was capable of tampering with even the Shogun's diagrams, and could single-handedly defeat many men, then he is not an ordinary enemy. I will discuss this matter with Brother shortly, and investigate the identity behind the one called Kunikuzushi. Rest assured, we will act cautiously.
To be honest, as I read the letter, I felt much turbulence in my heart. But now I've managed to calm myself. My great-grandfather said in the letter that he did not wish his descendants to blindly seek revenge and be deceived by things of the past. Though he was in a tight situation when he wrote these words, I feel like they are still valid nonetheless. I think what's most important for each person is not the past, but the present. Even though we must carry the burdens from the past, there are also things we wish to strive for. Therefore, knowing the truth behind what happened is enough for me. I will live on just as my great-grandfather had hoped. That being said, if the enemy from all those years ago is still lurking and plotting to stir up more trouble, then I definitely won't turn a blind eye. These are simply insights I've gathered from all that I've experienced. Thank you all for accompanying me in my search for the truth behind that incident.
Great! Now that we're done here, let's head back to Rito. Today is the final stage of the Irodori Festival. Not only will there be Shincho's signing event, but Albedo's painting of Kuranushi will also...
The festivals always attract so many...
Hello, Traveler. Paimon?
Albedo, why is the portrait of Kuranushi all covered up? Paimon wants to see what your current...
Don't worry. The unveiling I will say that I'm most satisfied with...
If you're tired from walking all around the festival, how about you sit right here and try my
Well,
Inuzuman snack?
hello, every.
Hey! What are you two...
Is that.
We were merely...
Kazuha?
I came here to take in the sea breeze. Such a bustling... Thank you. Look. But now, not only are...
Yeah! Inazuma's already started to change, huh?
I was thinking it might take a different... And when they finally...
Ah. Yes. Fortunately,
Brother and I are.
Toma sure is taking his sweet time.
Yes.
Paimon didn't...
So.
Traveler, Paimon. It's a... Indeed it did. You aren't mistaken, after all. Fortunately... Oh, I should mention. Then, please accept my thanks in advance. I'll see you later at...
It's time for the portraits unveiling ceremony. Let's head over to the Five Castle Plaza.
Everyone, welcome. Today we have... And now we will reveal the final...
Paimon has no idea what...
Let's all count down together. 3, 2, 1... I suppose Calx...
Hello, everyone. The 5 costs I learned from it. Moreover, perhaps we can... After all...
Yep, that's Albedo for ya. His super logical explanation is sure to win everyone's... Well, it seems that our adventures at the Irodori Festival have come to a close. Huh? Oh. Oh, right! Really? Come on then, who is it? Tell Paimon! Well, that makes sense. Right. Even though they were using stories to hint us toward Shincho's troubles, the real goal was to... Oh! Let's go!
The one who left.
Huh?
Because other than.
Ayato! But...
First of all,
Huh? Paimon knew it!
that's right. As for my roundabout approach... Yes, I knew there was what Kaedehara... The Kaedehara, although he has... Of course, if he lacks the Kaedehara Yoshi for a long time...
Oh, Paimon gets it. Yeah, it...
I merely saw... And more important, reliable friend, because it is also very likely that you already know the answer. The answer is act when there is no one else. As for the means of...
getting pretty late, so nobody else is around now. So Ayato It's the best! So he was the one behind the trouble all those years ago!
When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eye. As for the means, also, I mentioned earlier, it was just after they had discovered some. I felt something in the meantime.
You mean... Why didn't you say...
After he left, I am certain that... So, which part of Kaedehara Yoshinori's experiences would... As for now, please, enjoy yourselves at the Irodori Festival.